Welcome back to the 2 Months Podcast presented by BioSteel and powered by GoGo Sports. I'm your host, Joshua Marshall. And tonight I got a co-host with me. We got Clay Vanderham. Vandy, how's it going?
Andy is dandy, Bosco.
Tonight's the
No, you
Leafs.
know what? I'm not. I'm not.
You're
I'm
not.
rather pissed off.
Okay, let's go. What are you pissed off about? Let's start it off. Let's get
Well, your Leafs, for
yes.
one. I had a 3-game Trixie parlay, or I guess it's a Trixie. So it's guaranteed. It's Golden State, Dallas, Toronto. They all lost the first game one. So yeah. And what did the Leafs do? Come
Soil.
out guns a blazing. I thought, oh, this is easy money here,
Yes.
and then go to sleep at the wheel.
Now, Vandy, in your experience from seeing the game, watching the game, playing the game, coaching this game, um, how does that happen to a team, getting past the first round? All due credit to the Florida Panthers, but is it these, from my point of view, it looks like immature, younger mistakes that players make at an early stage of their career. And you got your veteran players like Nylander and Matthews just turning the puck over in their own zone, just carelessly.
It's like lackadaisical plays, just almost like this game's too easy, and your energy isn't up,
Yeah.
and I don't know what that stems from internal. I mean, that's just how they are, right?
They've
I mean, you
always
look
been
at
that way. You're right.
Nylander and Matthews, you point those two out, but they're just like cocky, I guess, for lack of a better term, but for
Almost like
lack of a
like
better word. But they
almost
just, even on the ice,
yeah,
they're just kind of going through the motions. And second round of playoffs, playing a very
yeah.
hungry team. And again, like you stated earlier, credit to the Florida Panthers, boy.
They're proving a lot of people wrong, right? And it was interesting because on the Hockey Night in Canada broadcast to start the game, Elliot Friedman even touched on it because Matthew Tkachuk had a ringside interview with Kyle Bacossis, and he kind of was that, underdog mentality, all this, all that. And then they went back to the studio and consensus, the whole panel with Dallas Eakins, they're like, how much longer can you go with that? You're really not the underdog now. You're kind of the favorite. So,
Oh, they're gonna ride, yeah, but they're. I mean,
they're
at the
going to
end of the
definitely
day,
ride that, though, right?
yeah, 100% you would, and that's internal. That's the leadership. That's Paul Maurice and his staff.
Yeah.
It's the, to the hockey fan. They're definitely not an eight. They're not playing like an eight seed
No,
right now.
no.
But at the end of the day, you want to make it there, make it to the dance, and
Yeah. And
and
I,
see what happens, right?
and I think it's going to be tough to beat Bobrovsky the next 4 out of 5.
There you go. You get a hot goaltender, and
Yeah, you know what? At the end of the day, we went to town tonight, kind of a local bar that has a lot of Leaf fans, and consensus with the people I was with, the people there is you just got to tip your hat, man. At the end of the day, you got to tip your hat to a really good team, a really good coach, some really good players. But at the end of the day, too, it's that
you need to
other
step up. I mean, they
you,
need to.
you need to, yeah. And
You
I don't
can't take. Go
one
ahead.
person, yeah, one
Yeah.
person made a good comment to me tonight is, do they still fire Sheldon Keefe, Kyle Dubas, Brendan Shanahan? Yes, they got over the first round, but if they get swept and it's ugly in this series, are their jobs still safe, Vandy? Where are you at with that?
Whoa. No, I I don't think so.
I don't
I
think
think
anyone saw them
I
getting
think
swept.
even the way Dubas acts sometimes, you can.
Yeah,
And I know he's passionate and whatever, but that he just seems like a guy that's holding on by a thread.
mm-hmm.
Like he knows the end is near, and he's going to ride this wave with this team. So
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's going to be a tough one for this organization to come back from 0-2, and
ah,
now the
it
Panthers
ain't
got some
over. You got to
rest.
win four, right? I
You
mean,
do.
it could be a
Homer series,
visitor.
right?
The
Or road
Leafs have been
series.
home,
Yeah.
right?
At least the
For
only positive for Leaf fans is they're 3-0 on the road, and all of those wins have come in overtime. It hasn't been easy, but you know,
So I may be mistaken here, but did they not have the longest break in the first?
no, Vegas had the longest break
Okay, well, regardless, in the East they had.
in the East. They did, yes.
Yeah, so I mean that could be playing into it as well. They're
And
just not. They're
yeah,
not matching, much like our beloved Oilers. They're not matching the tempo
of the series right
of
now.
the series, right?
Yeah.
They kind of played against Tampa, good series, but they like the Oilers. It's kind of that rope a dope style. I felt for both series, Tampa and Toronto. It was got
Yeah.
to come back and make no mistake about it. The playoffs are about learning, and
Mm-hmm.
the Leafs, those guys, as long as they've been in the league, they're learning how to win kind of on the fly, and part of that comes from maybe mentally preparing themselves. They're not they're not you know realizing that they have to up their game level. That you can say it all you want, but when you get out there, it's kind of like deer in a headlight. You're like, holy shit, these
Mm-hmm.
guys are coming.
Yeah. And they're coming on strong. So,
So yeah,
what's your thoughts on Paul Maurice as a head coach here and what
I've
he's been able to do?
I've always to me I've always admired the Sutters, obviously, and Paul Maurice is right up there.
Yeah.
He just he's so intelligent and so intellectual that you can just tell what kind of guy or coach he is in the room.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, no, I've always been a fan of his. I've always kind of cheered for him on the inside, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's we'll get into the Sutter situation here as the podcast goes on. Some interesting comments from Troy Stetcher today on the Donnie and Dolly show. And then obviously some interesting comments of Jonathan Huberdeau on a French podcast a couple days ago too. So two different perspectives, and so be kind of wondering what happens there in that situation. But we'll get to that very shortly. I kind of wonder, here with the Leafs, they have a little bit of success on the road. Now there's 2 days off between this next game and then after game three, there's another 2 day off break. Florida's been pretty much playing game day off, game day off, game day off. Now Toronto has some veterans in their lineup too. I think at the end of the day, it kind of helps out both teams in a way. Definitely, probably more Florida because of the rhythm that they've been going in, but um, where does it have to start for Toronto, Vandy? And we'll finish up on this. Where does it have to start for them? Matthews has points in 12 straight playoff games now, dating back to last year. Um, is he getting the double, triple amount of points in games? No, he's getting the one here, kind of that. But do they just got to bear down and kind of ride those guys and kind of move?
yeah, you have no choice.
Yeah.
They got to be better, and I think to a man they know that.
Mm-hmm.
They're professionals. They're going to be, as much as we, get after Leafs fans and Leafs players out here, but um, yeah, they need to be better, and they know that.
Yeah.
What is Biz call them the Biz Nasty calls them the core four, or
Mm-hmm.
they got to be better, and they will. They'll be like I say when they get on the road, maybe they get back into those mental habits that maybe you don't do a lot at home where everything's kind of there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. All right, we'll stick with the Eastern theme. We'll move out to the New Jersey Devils versus the Carolina Hurricanes. A big 4-5-1 win for the Canes. They're proving this without three really great players in Timo Timurvainen and Shnevskov and also Pacioretty. So the depth is in this organization. It's obviously just one game. It's not a one game elimination. It's a best of seven, but thoughts on this Canes team in the second round in this matchup versus the Devils?
they're just systematically incredible and disciplined, and it's
It's fun to
well,
watch.
yeah, it is, man. And they get after it. They go, and it's like they don't have like a one number one line.
No,
It's
they
like
don't.
one, two, three. Hey, look what Jesse's doing.
Yeah,
he's fitting in there. He just does his role, and he's
Not hurting them on the defensive side
no,
or
he's
anything.
not.
Yeah,
That's so. I mean, but that's part of defensive structure that good for him. Maybe he needed, but they're like they look good yesterday, and they're just the games that I've watched. They're just a well-oiled machine. Like they are from you know D to forward. They're just
they're stacked.
and you don't need when you play that structure. You don't need the superstar goaltender or
No.
they got Freddie Anderson and Ranta, but I mean, they're still so structurally sound.
Yeah. For the Devils there, obviously a young team. There's some veterans there for sure. And a hell of a coach in Lindy Ruff. And obviously we've had Vernon Fiddler on this podcast and he's talked glowingly
Yeah.
about Lindy Ruff. But what kind of things would you want to see in their game to kind of come back here and even the series up?
Your finesse isn't going to win you a Stanley Cup. You got to be harder. I mean, you got to be. I think missing Timo Meyer. I mean, he's that ball of energy, that Martinook on the other side kind of player, right? Um, but yeah, it's they, and again, Hughes is learning on the fly.
Yes.
The coaches can preach and the vets can do whatever, but at the end of the day, you got to play to get experience.
Yeah.
In that, and yeah, I mean, but Carolina just is so heavy. They're always on you, and they just play that. It's not. It's some. No, it's not a fast brand of hockey, but it's just they remind me of Vegas.
Yeah.
Just the way they got it and the way
Yeah.
they're.
It's no one really wows you, but
No.
you got just depth throughout the lineup. You got big defensemen that can move the puck. They're rangy. They box you out. They corner you out. They shy you away from the net. Wherever you're going on one, they do a good way of gapping up and kind of keeping you from making sure you're still on the outside. So, no, it's a really good team, obviously, and hell of a coach. And how many times we've talked about Rod Brindamore here. Thoughts on this series that's going on tonight, Game 2, Seattle Kraken and the Dallas Stars, and what's going on there? Obviously, the Stars are up 3-1 here. Seattle, doesn't go quietly into the night, and they're gaining more and more respect with some veterans. But I guess we'll start with like Joel Pavelski back in this series, back in the playoffs after the gruesome injury that he just went through. 4-goal performance, kind of wasted, but
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm commenting on Pavelski thing, but I was just ready to send a text to our group chat saying how I think because Dallas was getting pumped at that point. It was 4-1, and I was gonna send a text saying that I wonder if like Boston put Bergeron in Pavelski. I wonder if that has a major impact on teams. Where these guys are leaders, and obviously the dressing room guys and motivation, all that in one. Yeah. But you look at Boston. I think they made a mistake putting Bergie in the one game, and there are many different other things. But a lot of people are gonna hate me for this. But I was thinking the same thing about Pavelski, and then I wake up in the morning, he banged off 4 Genos. So I'm like, okay, well, what do I know? But yeah, no, I mean, he's just that leader that he. I don't know if he's vocal or
right.
Yeah, man.
38 years old. Does it right. Late round pick. Probably one of the best net front presence on.
He put in the work, and those are the guys you cheer for too.
Yeah, exactly. Still a lot of game left here. Is 10 minutes left. It's only 3-1, so anything could happen. And there's obviously some injuries.
Seattle plays that. I mean, that hard nose 1-4 line 1-4 kind of hockey as well, right?
Yeah, for sure. All right. We'll spend a lot of time on this. Our Edmonton Oilers report, and this is sponsored by our friends at Shadified Salon and Barbershop. Thanks Shaddy and his team there for for taking care of us and everyone that goes to Shadowfied. So if you guys don't go there, they got many locations throughout the city. So and if you go to the north side one, talk to Shaddy, he'll take care of you. Take care of you. Vandy, thoughts on this performance last night from the Oilers? Another full goal performance that we've seen in the playoffs, and Draisaitl unreal again. But where are things at in this series for you? And what kind of adjustments would you like to see the Oilers, do in game two here?
Well, first off, okay, Edmonton reporters get a clue. You're asking Leon, who's having one hell of a playoff and had a hell of a playoff on one leg. So you know damn well he's a team guy. And you
Mm-hmm.
ask him, is there any joy, even though they lost, in getting 4 goals? Like, come on, guys, figure it out. Um,
You got to be
getting
good
back
at it.
to
Yeah.
getting back to what I mean, Leon did. A friend of mine texted me, Aaron Barner, and or we have a group chat,
Yeah.
and he said the Oilers are having trouble adjusting to having a hard time adjusting to speed after playing possum with LA, and we talked about that earlier, right?
Yes.
And that's 100%. He was bang on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's that was the consensus around here too, and it was just, and you said you put in your eternal chat. Not only are they bigger, they're faster too. As the Golden.
You know what, I can't say that I watch a lot of Vegas games, but I couldn't believe how much bigger they are, but they're not. Like,
Yeah.
I guess we're the bigger team, but they look heavy, man. Like they lean on guys, and like it's yeah.
It's
I mean,
hard,
I
heavy
was
hockey.
shocked.
Yeah. So, what's your thoughts on Desharnais here? He's had a rough playoffs, as Elliot Friedman
Oh,
talked
he's
about
getting
last
beat
night.
up. Yeah.
Where do you
Uh,
things go here
you
with
know,
do you get Jason Demers in the lineup?
I yeah, I think
He only played
maybe
one NHL
is
game
that
last
it?
year, but
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's been in the
700 games
league for
in 15 years, right?
yeah.
So
So I mean, I would say yeah, maybe give him a look. Game shape, blah blah blah. But yeah, I maybe give him a look. Darnay he's struggling,
yeah,
and it was
his reads, foot speed, just not getting
and
time.
wins hide that, right?
Yeah,
You lose, and you're at fault for 2 or 3 of those goals yesterday. Then that it just magnifies even more, right?
yeah.
So I mean, I'm LA is obviously not as quick and fast and hard as Vegas, but I mean, you could see it kind of in that Kings series. He was having difficulty. He's unbelievable on the penalty kill, though.
Yes, he is. Yeah, it's kind of the same thing of what Justin Hall is. Justin Hall is a hell of a penalty killer. Same with Darnay, but the 5-on-5, you're kind of getting exposed, and we'll see. I don't even know if Justin Hall will go back in. Liljegren played bad. The Oilers are playing with 7 defensemen, but Broberg is having not the it's not like he's hurting them anymore, but it's still you're putting 2 lefties together, and I know that's a bit tough for 2 guys that normally play the left side, don't really have a lot of experience. One of them playing the right side, so I think that's tough. And teams do take advantage of that. We've had Doug McLean on several times where scouting reports are used for how you chip pucks in and how you get after it. Where the guy's got to get it on his backhand. The retrievals on the backhand are tough, right? So, and you would
Well, and I mean, well, you're not beating this team with you
5
know
defensemen, 4 defensemen too, right? So,
correct, and we need help at the bottom as well. Our depth, if our depth players aren't scoring,
yeah,
we can Connor and Leon aren't going to win this series on their own.
yeah.
Not
So
against this team.
no. So Nugent Hopkins has 4 assists in 7 playoff games, no goals yet. He had a hell of a year, career year, obviously in goals and points and all that. This hit like obviously just to ask you this question, everyone's going to know the answer to it, but how does he get going? And we've seen in the internal chat, and obviously Ryan Rashog talked about it too, and whatnot. Vandy, like, is it weird with these head games of you're practicing with these lines, you're warm up with these lines, but you start the game with these lines? Like, how does that, like, as you as a player, as a coach, is that hard? I know there's a big theme today, but thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would. says, but
Like I was
it's
chatting with
hard for me to put that in, because they're professionals. They should be able to play
yeah,
anywhere you put them. You should, and
yeah.
I get it. People excel, and no, I don't. I
Because
mean, I
what I
wouldn't think
did is
so.
I threw that out to some of the guys that have been on with us before. Some current and more current and some former. And the consensus was, yeah, like you kind of want to know what you're going in with,
Okay,
planning
if that's
all
the
that.
case and
So,
it's a legitimate issue,
yeah,
then
but some guys did say what you said too, though. It's like, yeah, you're a professional. At the end of the day, when that puck drops, you got to be ready. If you're playing with this guy or that guy or these two or whatever, like it's not like you've never seen the way they play. Like you've been on the
I
team with them
agree.
for a
Yeah,
couple of years. You if you're not on a shift with them, you're watching their shifts, so you kind of know what your tendencies are in a way. So it's kind of a weird thing, but it also, yeah, at this time of the year, you would think that you would have set pairings or set lines. But when you throw it into the blender every game, and I think it's tough with this 11-7, and obviously Jay loves that, but and I just thought
well, they're
last night,
successful with it most
yeah,
of the time. I
most of
guess,
the
right?
time they are. So
Stats say it.
yeah,
So
do you think obviously there's video of Connor fighting something here? How significant do you think his injury is? We don't know, but exactly what the outcome is or is. But are you seeing something in his game
I
that's lacking?
no, no, I will. mm, I say that, but he had a lot of pep and he was carrying it, but he was not flying like we all know Connor can fly.
Yeah,
100%. He could be something.
yeah,
I would venture it definitely is. I mean, he took a beating in the first round.
he did. Yeah,
They were going after, obviously,
yeah.
and yeah, I don't know.
And all right, the last and most important question on this one, and we'll see here, but how soon is how short is the leash on Skinner here? And what do you when
I think you start Jack Campbell, give Skinner a reset, give him a rest. You're gonna get
because you
yeah,
got
like
2 days off now between the next game, so obviously they're
correct, and you'll get so then you're gonna go back to back, but who knows with TV and everything how that works? You might get an extra day. Give Skins a reset. Just hey, you know, it'd be nice if they won the first one, then maybe you give Campbell, but I don't know. I think give him
it's
a
not
shot.
there's nothing wrong. There's other teams doing it too, right, Vandy? Like Carolina's done it, Florida's done it.
If we're
Like
legit going on a run,
you got to do it.
you got to do it at some time, and
Yeah,
there's no better time than now.
yeah.
I mean, he saved your ass in the first round. Let's see what he can do in a game, right? Maybe he
It's
steals
just
one and we get gives you that life,
yeah, because they haven't played a low scoring game yet. They've all been pretty high scoring above the threes and fours. So and his save percentage and his goals
Correct.
average is not looking so good. And that's going to be tough.
And you look at yesterday. I mean, it wasn't Skinner's fault.
No, no,
Nothing was,
it,
and that's not what I want. I don't want anybody to think that we're blaming him. No, but I think it'd be a good time for him to just see Campbell. Let's see what you got.
yeah, give you a go and you go from there. Um, Sad news today. Peter Klima passes away. We'll
Oh
stick on the
man,
weather theme. Obviously there's a lot of many great highlights and the OT winner and whatnot, but we don't know the cause and all that. We just know that at very young age, lost a great person. And
another one, right? Smanko died young too,
yeah,
and there have been many others. But
yeah. Anything you want to add to kind of what he meant
um,
and what any memories of besides some the obvious, any other things or stories or whatnot as you grew up watching him?
well, the goofy helmet is always for me. I mean, I love my favorite player growing up was Yari Curry, and
Yeah,
he had that the goofy Yofa, and Peter Klima had that whatever. I think it was a Yofa too, but it was like it was weird. And then
yeah,
Yaroslav Pozar had a messed up helmet. Anyway, uh, buddy of mine on Twitter, Kish, we played together at Southside growing up, but he put out something about how many kids used to fight over taping their stick or how many kids wanted to tape their stick. Dude, I had what was it it was a coho and I think it was black of
yeah,
some sort. Anyway, I taped it just the spiral tape. And that was back when, you the bottoms of the stick wouldn't last. You'd be skating on wood by the end of the game. But
Mm,
yeah, it was, yeah. I mean, stuff like that.
yeah. All right, we'll finish up on the breaking news out of Calgary. Um, this one's tough. I love Sutter. The Sutter family's been great. Obviously, you and I got to interview Brent, and we
Yep.
obviously know the history of the Sutter families. And Troy Stetcher said it today. He said he loved playing for him. He was the type of coach that suits the style of his game. He's fair. He's honest. He just wants you to come to the rink, play the hard, play it right. And I think the comment that stood out to me was, come to the rink, do your job, and just shut your mouth and enjoy the game and embrace the moments that you get put into. And then, on the other end, Huberto was on a French podcast making comments that not a good person, not a good coach. Maybe some other, and then obviously some other comments, that didn't really align with liking Sutter. So two different looks out of it. And we obviously know there was some comments that Darryl had come out and said things about him of, taking the shit and just the other things of playing it better at the end of the day. I always look at it as 75% on the player, 25% on the coach, in my opinion. Huberto, 55 points, that's not good enough from a 115-point season. But I'm shocked that they fired him. I was to believe that, that they were going to fire him. And I know kind of a friend of the pod, Matt Ruptash, threw a jab at us on Twitter, and, whatever, we'll take him. But
Yeah. Thanks, Matt.
yeah, exactly. Thoughts on, the firing and what this means for Calgary going
Well,
forward.
I think it's kind of ironic. This whole story is the deal that Brad Treliving did, and the amazing work he did after losing Kachuk and Goudreau probably cost him his job.
Yeah.
And I say that because that team was built for a Stanley Cup run, built for the playoffs. I had a great mix of vets who, a couple of them, three of them, four of them are friends of ours
Yeah.
that we've interviewed.
Yes.
And then you have the guys coming in, or the main piece of the puzzle coming in, and you know I think it's clear now the room was divided.
Yeah.
And remember us all speculating, it's just Huberto's,
Yeah.
he's just getting used to it and blah blah. Oh man, that
You were
he
right,
did
man.
not. It's clear he
Yeah.
did not want to play for a guy that maybe pushed his limits a little bit harder than he'd been pushed before.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ultimately, getting back, ultimately, I think that deal cost Treliving and now Sutter his job, because at the end of the day, you've got 8 years with Hubie,
Yeah.
and
And Uyghur and Kadri and all that, right?
correct, right? And Kadri's the same boat. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's.
You are right. Yeah.
I think it in that room. You got Toff, who would has publicly stated he loves playing for him and he loves the guy, and then you have Luch, who would play for anybody
Yeah.
really.
Yeah.
But and what Stetcher
Ackland
said,
and Stecker.
Backlund
Yeah.
and like all these guys, and
We're
then
gonna
you've
have
got these new guys coming in.
we're gonna have Trevor Lewis on next week, and he's
Exactly.
another guy that, obviously he's gonna say glowing things about him too. So yeah.
Well, yeah.
You
But
know,
anyway, it was a room divided. We were all dead wrong.
yeah.
And it just goes to show you that we really, truly don't fucking know what is going on in an NHL dressing room.
Exactly. 100%.
Oh yeah, Connor's quiet and doesn't say anything. Like, fuck, we have no clue.
No, no. Unless you're in the room,
Exactly.
And there's not a lot of people in the room, even the guys
And
that
how many of these guys listen to these podcasts and and they just go, "You fucking idiots have no
no
clue."
clue. No, no, you have none. I was talking to one last night, and he won't name names, but obviously you know him very well. He was just kind of laughing. He's like, "Hey, you guys think you know, but you don't know."
No.
No, it's always interesting to get that perspective of the
You think
situation.
he gets another job?
You know what? I think what is he
Or does he want one? I guess
60,
I think
63. He's got, he's got about eight, he always got over at least 8 million, if not more, coming his way. And how much he loves the farm life. I know the oldest daughter in his niece and the family is kind of the one that holds the farm together during the winter months. And
mm-hmm.
the second he gets an opportunity, he's back there doing things, and that's kind of where he loves. And all accounts, I had a couple of buddies that were gone through Viking the other day, and he's at the Petrocan in the coffee shop there, just kind of hanging out, doing his thing, sharing stories and all that. And Brent's been great to us. I don't know. I don't know anymore. It kind of bothers me because like I kind of tweeted out, I was like, I still love that old school mentality in a way. But Bob Stauffer said in an interview with us, he's like, the coaching regime in the NHL is changing to this positive reinforcement, and now you're starting to see it in the workforce and all that. And I think you
I
were part of that interview,
100%, man.
right?
It's been changing. I mean, I saw it 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And you know where I think he would be a good fit is junior, because he's still, I don't know if he's wired that way, or but I you still have somewhat, you have control over your players a lot more at the junior level
Yeah.
than, and again, it's not about control, but you have, you're more disciplined. You can create your own discipline,
Yeah.
if that makes sense,
Yeah.
compared to what you can at the NHL level. And like,
And let's make no mistake about it too, is you got a $4 million salary cap versus, an $84 million salary cap when it comes to the
but
NHL.
that's what I mean. I mean,
Yeah,
you
you
can
got
you
that
can leverage.
the
It's not
conversation.
power or control. I don't want anybody to think it's
No,
that, but it's like you can leverage yourself a lot easier
the junior level.
at the junior level. But I mean, again, I don't know. I think he would be good at it.
Yeah.
Obviously, he would be good at it. But could
Yeah.
he change? Because you do. I mean, you see, it's more of a buddy system now.
Mm-hmm.
You look at Bednar, and look, at the end of the day, they have fuck you matches.
With
McKinnon and him, they have on publicly,
on
but
camera, off camera,
yeah, but
on
at the
ice,
end of the
off
day,
ice.
I think it's a buddy, not, yeah, buddy system. I don't want to, but it's like these new age coaches, and I guess not new age, but the coaches now that are successful and seeing success are, they allies with the, it's not my way or the highway. They're
Yeah.
talking, communicating a lot more than they did in the past, right?
Yeah.
Where you have to be here or here or here instead of, well, no, just be creative and whatever. Right?
Yeah.
I'm rambling again.
Yeah, no, and we'll definitely see kind of how it plays out. I'd say probably not, because that's probably his choice, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see if the Flames hire Mitch Love. Obviously, they got to get a GM in place to before they get a head coach in place. Is that Conroy? Is it someone else?
Who's Mitch Love?
So Mitch Love is the head.
Why have I heard that name?
Yeah, Mitch Love is the head coach of the Calgary Wranglers. He is the head coach of the Calgary Flames farm team, and yeah, he's done an amazing job. He's one of the up and coming coaches. Every year he gets better and better, and his development and system. And I know the Flames are very high on him, and I don't think they would want to lose him. So I definitely think he's probably one of the positive in candidates. And you know, um, I think paying Darryl to sit at home on the farm for you know $4 million for the next 2 years. Mitch Love is not going to be coming in around. He's probably not even getting a $2 million contract. So I think that has
Well,
to.
I remember that's where his name, Cam Jansen, talked about fighting him
Yeah.
in the AHL. That's where that name came from.
Okay.
Wow, yeah, he's been at it for a while, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got a good resume, and I think that would be the candidate. And I do think cost plays a factor here, because I do think this decision was very hard for Murray Edwards, as much as his
Yeah.
close relationship with Darryl is. But at the end of the day, when the players speak up, and how many players said what they had to say on either end, it was a divided locker room, and I think it was very evident that that was a divided locker room. Now the
Mm-hmm.
dust settled very earlier on, and I think it was just really tough to get it back on the rails. And but Troy Stetcher didn't really have any comments. He's like, we were, I think he said they're 11-4-3 during the time he got there. So, what was in the past was in the past, but, unfortunate set of circumstances that it worked out that way. Cause we see you get in and anything could happen, and it would be
Yep.
interesting to see what
Well, and we called it. They would have been trouble
for a lot of teams.
yeah.
Yeah. Just the way they would have played and that maybe that Florida Panthers mentality where they're playing with the house money, right? So
They were built. They were built for the playoffs.
they
And
were.
they
They
just
were.
needed to get there.
Yeah. All right. Before our next recording, do the Oilers tie this series up 1-1, Vandy? Kind of your prediction on there.
Yeah, no, I'm picking with my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they do, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Um,
think the speed and all that. I think if Nuge gets going, then it's a different situation. Um, I was chatting with this player the other night, and I do think they're missing, the Russells, the Bennings, the maybe the Sekras, kind of that,
meat and potato guys.
yeah, just guys that you can trust, get out there,
I
do the
saw a
thing.
tweet, Ethan Bear,
Yeah,
right?
another one.
Um,
There's another name
I
there
mean,
too.
I think our back end well is showing and,
Yeah,
and being exposed, and it's unfortunate, but stranger things have happened. If we get depth scoring,
it's an even
they
series.
we can make this fun again. But
Yeah,
if we don't get that, and we're relying on 97 and 29,
and the power play.
I think we're in trouble. And the PP, yeah, we're in trouble.
Got to get some offense 5-on-5 and
Yeah.
get some more depth scoring. And it's weird saying because in the series clinching game, you got some goals from Costin and Yamamoto. But
But again, it's one game. Who knows?
exactly. We'll see what happens. It's not the end of the world. All right, Vans. Let's we'll connect next week. I think our next interview will probably be with Trevor Lewis. So we're looking forward to that. And anything you want to add before we jump out?
No, no,
That's,
no. Let's go enjoy the playoffs. Let's go Oil.
there we go.
Let's
All
go
right.
Leafs.
Okay. All right, Vandy, thank you. And we'll chat with you guys next week. Enjoy the weekend, enjoy the games. Stay safe out there. These forest fires in Alberta are pretty scary right now. And the anniversary of the one in Fort McMurray, and I'm in Fort McMurray now. A lot of people are on edge here. So we're
Yep.
definitely thinking of you guys. I know there's one fire right by my brother's house in Athabasca. It's about 20 miles away. And they're getting ready to evacuate there. So to anyone listening and dealing with these unfortunate set of circumstances and these tough situations, we're thinking of you guys. We're thinking of your families, and we're hoping things get better. It's wild that we're having this hot kind of stretch very early on in May. And it's and the first responders putting out these fires, stay safe too, and get some rest, recover, and let's just remember there's a lot of people working hard to get these things under control and safe for everyone. So thank you to all our listeners. Give us a like, give us a subscribe on YouTube and all our other channels, and we appreciate everyone. We'll chat very soon.